They say that, defense wins championships, and Super Bowl 58 should be an epic matchup with plenty of sacks and whatnot, but a man who knows about sacks is J.J. Watt. So, Brock, take it away.
JJ, one thing that I have to ask you is, if you are Nick Bosa, you are the most dangerous man on the football field, but you also play for a defense that has the most depth at defensive line than anyone. Now, win or lose, this is the last game. What's the balance of, I want every rep, I'm emptying the tank, but I also want to stay fresh?
It's a great question. I think you have to look at the specific situation. All year long, and kind of Nick Bosa's thing is they do that rotation. He's extremely fresh. He comes on and he pass rushes extremely well. Clearly that works for him. So I wouldn't change that up in the final game because of what he's been doing the entire time. For me personally, I was I got to stay lathered up. Like, I got to stay into the game. I have to be in the rhythm. I have to have that juice flowing. So every single person's different, but don't change up what's been working for him.
All right, JJ, I'm going to ask you to step into the shoes of offensive coordinator for each team.
Okay.
And tell me which defender on the opposing team causes you the most concern in your role as offensive coordinator.
Oh, it's a great question. I would say if I'm the Chiefs offense, I mean, there's obviously, you've got the former defensive player of the year, Nick Bosa, but for me, it's Fred Warner. It's that guy in the middle. It's those two, I mean, the two of them, Greenlaw and Warner, but Fred Warner can do so many things. He's so smart. He can cover so much ground, so it's him for me.
Okay.
And then on the other side, if I'm the Niners looking at the Chiefs, I mean, I'm looking at Chris Jones. I'm looking at Chris Jones. We got to stop him. We have to find a way to not let him affect the game in both the run and the pass.
What I love about the Super Bowl week is you just named some absolute superstars, and Fred Warner and Chris Jones. I like to talk about those under-the-radar type of guys. Right. I want you to give me a name of a guy that's flying under the radar right now that everybody's going to be talking about on Monday after this game.
See, for a group like us, under the radar is a little different. For me, I would say I think Trent McDuffie is a huge name. Like, I think what he does and what Spags does with that defense and some of those DBs and the things he's capable of, I think he's an absolute under-the-radar guy we're looking for. On the other side, I mean, some of the interior D-line on the Niners. Like, I'm a big D-line guy, obviously. So you got Hargrave in there, you got Kinlaw. I mean, those guys are two great ones.
JJ, I was just out in San Francisco interviewing George Kittle for an interview that's going to run on the NFL Super Bowl today on Sunday, and he showed me what the cleats he's planning to wear. He got some customized cleats, right, for Super Bowl 58. And so I got my wheels turning a little bit. If you're playing in the Super Bowl, do you want to be in brand new cleats that have never been on your feet until right now, or would you rather have some that are a little broken in? And then, frankly, what was your preference?
Well, it's a question I wish I could have answered at some point in my career. I can tell you that. You might be able to give us a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I would say for me, I liked Warner. If I had been playing well on them, I keep the cleats going.
Yeah.
And as long as they still have some tread on the tire, that's what I like.
How many games?
I mean, if I got a sack streak going, we're going 7, 8, 9 games straight. You keep those things going. But if I've gone 2 games without a sack, I'm definitely in a brand new pair. And the thing is, the cleats are very good nowadays where you don't have to break them in quite like you used to. What about you? What would you like?
Brand new. See, he's a big guy. They're in there mixing it up. They don't care about what's on their feet. I'm trying to look pretty and go make plays. Brand new painted cleats. George Kittle, do your thing. I love it.
JJ, I have to ask, because every clip that we see from Media Day, Patrick Mahomes is relaxed. Andy Reid is relaxed. Everyone's like, yeah, we've been here. We've done that. Do they need to ramp up, or is there an advantage saying this is business as usual?
No, I think there's a massive advantage in that. And I think it is one of the things that when we look back at that AFC Championship game, it was one of the differentiating factors in that game. Because you look at that first drive, they come out, they have extreme success. But the rest of the game, they were very cool. They were calm. They were collected. They almost just waited for the Ravens to make the mistakes. They almost put the onus on the Ravens to make the big plays. And you could kind of feel that with Lamar forcing that ball down the field sometimes. So I think that comes with them being here so many times. They understand, if we just play our game, we have Patrick Mahomes, we have the guys, let's just go out there and be cool.
And Lamar and Baltimore, they weren't able to come back. And that's something we've watched the 49ers do the past 2 weeks, of being able to come back with Brock Purdy leading them. They get behind in this game. The fact that they've shown that, do you think they have the confidence and ability to come back against the Kansas City Chiefs?
Definitely. And I think the NFC Championship game gives them so much confidence in that category. You come back from such a big deficit to win that game. They already had confidence in Brock. Brock already had confidence in himself. But now he can just look back on that experience, and let's say they get down 7 or 10. It's no problem. We were down much more than that.
It's time for a segment that really is the sexiest segment of all. We like to call it Sax Appeal. JJ, I got to know, if you were lining up Sunday For the Chiefs, how would you attack the 49ers offensive line?
I mean, you got to find matchups. You know, obviously you have Trent Williams on the left side. He's their best offensive lineman. He's possibly the best offensive lineman in the entire National Football League. So on one hand, you think, okay, put Chris Jones over there, best on best. Well, no, you find the best matchup. You want to find the best matchup, so I'm taking Chris Jones, I'm putting him on the left. You like Karlaftis on the left style because that's where he likes to be. So maybe you're doing a little combo move. Karlaftis and Chris Jones attacking the left side of that line, try and overpower him.
And one thing they can do, too, is confuse the heck out of Brock Purdy. The longer he holds on to that football, the more time you have to get home. And with Spags throwing every kind of look at him, I think that may be the key. Hey, we're facing one of the best offensive lines. Maybe we don't have an advantage there, but maybe we can have an advantage with the young quarterback.
Definitely. And you talk about the matchups with the front and the front seven and all those guys. I think beyond that, the way that Spags blitzes, and you mentioned Trick McDuffie earlier, he's a guy that's at the very top when it comes to blitzing off of that slot. So I think that's going to be a way to attack that offensive line as well.
Yeah, Justin Reed got a sack, obviously, in that last game, too. So, I mean, they got guys coming from all different angles, man. It's tough to stop.
So, but what about Juszczyk? How about the fullback? You worried about him at all?
I mean, those are ones where I can look like an idiot because this is, I'm going to be honest with you, because this is what happens as a pass rusher. I'm just beating my guy and I'm going straight to the quarterback. Now, all of a sudden, I'm on my way to the quarterback. I win. I have a sweet move. Juice just comes and wipes me out. And I could absolutely look like a moron. It's happened to me many times. I've been knocked straight on my butt. So, yes, I am a little worried, but I forget all about that when you start rushing.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to need you to take off that trendy jacket and slide this cute little red number on here. I have you in the San Francisco 49ers this time, and I need to know, how are you getting to Patrick Mahomes on Sunday?
It's tough because Pat is incredible at escaping for many different reasons. So one, he can do the traditional routes. He can go up the gaps in the middle if you create those pass rush lanes. But he also knows that his arm is so strong. If you get pressure on him, he'll just keep backing up. He can go 10, 15, 20 yards back, still make the throws downfield to the guys. So that's why those sack numbers are so low. Sometimes guys get beat, but Pat finds a way to get out of it. So for me, it's all about just pure pass rush. And we saw in that Ravens game, they got a couple holding calls, not too many. They've had some false starts early in the year. I'm putting somebody where Matabuke was last year over that right guard position and just seeing if they got that figured out.
I was going to ask you that. You said over that right guard position. Joe Tooney, his status is up in the air. Not sure whether he's going to be able to play. Allegretti did last week in that conference championship game. How big of that is at this point to not have an all-pro guy like Joe Tooney out there?
Obviously, you want to have him out there, but I will say Allegretti did perform very well in the situation. He's obviously been well rehearsed in that position, so he's been okay. And that just goes to speak to how important it is to have depth. How these teams have to be able to fill in those positions. And I think speaking of that, filling in for Charles Omenihu is going to be tough for the Chiefs defensive line. He brings a different angle. He brings a little bit of a different pass rush moves. So that's going to be one that is a underrated miss for the Chiefs this year.
If you go back and look at what I feel is Pat Mahomes' worst performance by Pat Mahomes standards, October 29th when they got blown out by Denver. Denver was doing something interesting. They weren't really pressuring inside. The D tackles were more like a QB spy engaging their guy, and they were trusting their edge guys. Hey, don't go get Patrick Mahomes, just contain him. Now, Patrick Mahomes can make any throw from the pocket, but outside is where the magic happens. Is that crazy to think, hey, our game plan is to not go after Patrick Mahomes?
I mean, you're choosing the lesser of two evils is what you're doing. And you're trying to basically say, we're not going to create the huge seams which can possibly create the 30, 40-yard runs or passes off of, because that's what the Chiefs are so phenomenal at. Between him and Kelsey, that chemistry that they have, when he scoots outside the pocket, now not only do you have the DBs worrying about covering a guy, do I plaster or do I come up and help? Now you also have to worry about Kelsey finding a way to get open, and it's tough, man. It's not fun. It's not a fun predicament to be in.
Okay, so it's going to be Sunday night, and let's go ahead and get down to it, baby. Sometimes you need some sexual healing. Which of these quarterbacks?
You're having too much fun.
No, he's not all right. He's never been all right. Something's wrong with him.
My goodness.
Which one of these quarterbacks would you rather go up against and sack?
I mean, I've gotten Brock a few times. I don't believe I've gotten Patrick because of how he's elusive. So I would say Patrick. I never got him. He's elusive. He just kept dropping back, man. Dude just kept dropping back. I get a clean win around the edge.
And he's 15 yards back here.
Just like, man, I don't feel like chasing you for this long, you know? So I would say Pat. Brock, I got him twice in my final game, so that was a nice little way to end.
114 and a half sacks, and you never got Patrick Mahomes. I would not have guessed it. That's a good trivia question at some point down the line. I wasn't a guy who had one sack in my entire career, so just give me either one of them and give me a chance to get to him. But I got to come free on a blitz. If there's somebody blocking me, I'm done.
So on top of that, because DBs don't really get to track which quarterbacks they've gotten down, I want to say I got a sack against the 49ers offensive line. I'm looking at it that way. If you're a DB, I don't care how long you play, you're going to get 6 sacks in your career. I beat Trent Williams in that offensive line. Give me perfect.
Okay, so favorite quarterback you ever got sacked or best tackle that you beat?
Ooh, I mean,
Name
that's a great
names.
question. I say I have a massive amount of respect for Marshall Yanda, Baltimore Ravens, phenomenal player, I think Hall of Fame player. I was very fortunate early in my career. In the playoffs, my rookie year, I got 2.5 that game.
Ooh.
And it was truly, with the amount of respect that I have for him and who I think he is as a player, it was one of those moments that gave me confidence that I could play in this league because of how great of a player he is.
Yeah, you did all right in the league. Just needed that extra half sack.
That half sack,
You
man.
just really needed.